New York. That night, in the golden-lit skyscraper bank building, a lavish gala was underway. CEO Richard Coleman, a powerful white man, likened to the King of Wall Street, stood mid-room, raising a glass to toast his billion-dollar deal. Sparkling evening gowns, expensive wine glasses, crisp laughter. Everything exuded suffocating upper-class opulence. Amid that scene, Jordan Harris, 42-year-old, black maintenance worker of the building, quietly moved through the crowd with a tray in hand. He was accustomed to being invisible to this crowd, but fate sometimes waits for a moment. Clink, a glass slipped from Jordan's hand, spilling red wine like blood across the six-figure Persian rug. The noise halted immediately. Then the entire room burst out in mocking laughter. Richard stepped forward, his gaze flashing with contempt. He raised his voice so everyone could hear. "Friend, you just ruined my billion-dollar party. But hey, let's turn this accident into entertainment. If you can sit at that Steinway and play Chopin's Ballade No. 1 without missing a single note, I will award you a music scholarship and an honorary position at the company." Richard paused and offered a malicious smile. "But if you cannot, you will kneel down and clean this rug with your bare hands." Right in front of all of us. The crowd laughed uproariously, as if bestowed with an unexpected performance. Phones went up immediately, ready to record this luxurious humiliation. Jordan stood there, no laughter, no defense. He did not tremble as the crowd expected. His eyes were deep, and something unusual gleamed within them. Silence fell. Then he spoke, in a calm, clear voice. "I accept." Jordan Harris. If anyone saw him only in his protective uniform, holding a mop, they would probably think he was an anonymous black man in New York City. But behind that layer of time-worn dust, there once lived a musical genius. Jordan was born in New Orleans to a poor family. From childhood, he had extraordinary ears, able to hear a piece of music and instantly reproduce it perfectly on the battered piano his mother bought at a second-hand market. At 18, Jordan stunned the world by winning an international competition, earning him the nickname the Golden Hands of New Orleans. Then tragedy struck. His mother died from illness, leaving the family deep in debt. Jordan's musical dreams were torn apart. He shelved the piano, fled the stage lights, and turned to manual labor to survive. From construction helper to moving boxes to maintenance worker, all to pay bills and support the family. In contrast, Richard Coleman, the powerful CEO of the wealthiest bank in Manhattan, believed that a person's worth lay entirely in status and money. He looked down on people of color, especially those who worked low-status jobs. In Richard's eyes, Jordan was just some floor cleaner. But not everyone in that room was like Richard. Emily Carter, his 28-year-old daughter, studied classical music in Vienna. Europe, she had years trained to distinguish between amateur and genius. Emily had never agreed with her father's arrogance and prejudice. And then there was Thomas, 60 years old, the building's doorman. He watched quietly from afar and was stunned when he recognized the face. He had seen Jordan Harris perform at a competition nearly 2 decades ago. In his heart, belief reignited. If that was truly the golden hands of old, then tonight, all pride in that hall would be overturned. Outside, Jordan still struggled, but every night, in a small church within the black community, he would silently sit at his old piano and let the music guide his soul. Music had never died in him. It was just sleeping, waiting for the moment to burst awake. And that moment was tonight. Laughter still echoed throughout the room as Richard signaled the band to stop. He pointed at the gleaming Steinway grand piano at center stage. "All right, show us what a maintenance guy can do with this million-dollar piano." The crowd buzzed with anticipation, eyes eager as if expecting a clumsy circus act. A few phones were already recording, ready to catch the moment of shame. Emily leaned toward her father and whispered, "Dad, you're turning this party into a farce." But Richard shrugged, arrogance lifting his lips. Jordan walked slowly toward the piano. Not rushed, not afraid, a few steps away. He turned and stared directly at Richard. His voice was calm and steady, each word like a dagger on the polished floor. "If I play this piece in full, you will not only award the scholarship, you will publicly apologize, right here, in front of everyone." The room fell silent for a moment. The laughter faded, then disappeared. People exchanged surprised glances at the strange confidence emanating from the man in the maintenance uniform. Richard snorted, curling a mocking smirk. "Fine, I want to see how many notes you can survive." From afar, Thomas never took his eyes off Jordan. He whispered, quietly enough for Emily to hear. "He is Jordan Harris. Years ago they called him the Golden Hands of New Orleans. If that is truly him, then tonight, Mr. Coleman will be digging his own grave." Emily blinked, holding her breath. In her eyes flickered doubt mixed with hope. Jordan sat down. His fingers gently touched the keys. The room felt pulled into a vacuum, where every whisper disappeared. Only anticipation remained. And then, the first notes began to sound, carrying the response of a genius once buried. A deep breath. Jordan let his hands rest lightly on the keys, then pressed down the first notes. Not a slip, not a tremble. The sound rang out with chilling precision. The crowd fell silent. They had expected clumsy mistakes, but instead came Chopin's Ballade No. 1, compelling, intense, and hauntingly real. In an instant, the room shifted. The mocking laughter vanished. No one could utter another sarcastic word. All they could do was sit still, wide-eyed, letting the music swallow every inch of the space. Jordan closed his eyes, letting the music guide him. His fingers danced like the wind, telling a life story of storms, a poor childhood, shattered dreams, and pain long buried. But deep within every note, a flame still burned, fierce and unquenchable. Some quietly wiped the corners of their eyes. They did not understand why the melody touched their hearts so deeply. The climax approached. Jordan's hands exploded across the keys, flying with a speed and technique that only true masters could achieve. Emily instinctively stepped forward, whispering, her voice trembling, "This is not an amateur. This is a genius." The entire room was spellbound. The music pierced into every soul. The most powerful, the wealthiest, suddenly felt small in the face of a talent that money could never buy. And then, the final chord sounded, thunderous and brilliant like lightning. Jordan lifted his hands. The room erupted. Thunderous applause. Cheers burst out uncontrollably. Many stood to their feet, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. A few aged faces whispered, "I remember hearing the name Jordan Harris 20 years ago. Could it really be him?" Thomas stepped forward, his voice loud, confirming a truth long buried. "Yes, this is Jordan Harris, the piano prodigy who once made all of Europe stand in awe." The color drained from Richard Coleman's face. He forced a crooked smile, but dozens of phones were already aimed at him, capturing every second. The joke had turned against the man who wanted to make someone else the punchline. Jordan stood up. No bow, no flinch. He looked directly at Richard, his gaze calm but carrying the weight of a lifetime of humiliation. "You said a person's worth is based on status," he said, each word echoing through the hall. "But music does not care about skin color, and it does not need a title. It only separates what is real from what is fake." The room was dead silent. Then, from the corners, applause rose again, one person, then another, until the whole room responded, as if a verdict had been declared by the crowd itself. "Apologize," someone shouted. "Keep your promise." Many others joined in. Emily stepped forward, her eyes blazing, her voice strong. "If my father will not do it, I will speak on behalf of the Coleman family. I will apologize to you. Right here." Richard flinched, turning to his daughter, growling, "Emily, this was just a joke. It means nothing." But Jordan stood firm. His voice was low but sharp. "No, this is proof. Your prejudice has been exposed, right in front of everyone." Thomas stepped up from behind, raising his phone and playing back the recording of Richard's challenge. The sound echoed clearly, undeniable. "If he plays every note correctly, I will award him a scholarship and an honorary position." Richard's earlier voice replayed, cold as a sentence. The crowd roared. There was no turning back now. Emily turned her back to her father. She looked at Jordan, her eyes unwavering. "You deserve this more than anyone in this room." Richard shouted in anger. His face flushed red, but this time, not a single person stood with him. On that glamorous gala night, power and wealth were defeated. Injustice found its voice in music. That night did not end with the music. It sparked a wave. Just hours later, the video of the entire event spread across social media under the title, "Millionaire Humiliates Black Worker, Gets Unexpected Ending." Millions of views, hundreds of thousands of comments. People were not just talking about Jordan Harris' extraordinary talent, they were furious at the raw arrogance of Richard Coleman. The consequences came like a storm. Angry shareholders forced Richard to resign within a week. Major contracts were canceled. Stock prices plummeted. The man who once stood proudly at the peak of power found himself abandoned by society. Meanwhile, Jordan became the center of attention. Prestigious music conservatories and record labels from around the world sent him invitations. But he turned them all down. Instead of returning to the dazzling stage, he chose another path, founding the Jordan Harris Music Foundation, offering free piano lessons to underprivileged black children in New Orleans, the very place where he once grew up. Emily Carter, the daughter who dared to stand against her own father, became the foundation's main sponsor. Walking alongside Jordan, no longer the CEO's daughter, at glittering galas, Emily now appeared simply beside an old piano, surrounded by excited children. The final image moved hearts the most. Jordan sitting at the old piano in a community classroom. The hands once buried in dusty labor now rang out melodies, leading dozens of children in song. Smiles shone on those young faces, children who, for the first time, believed that their dreams could soar. The voiceover echoed, firm yet filled with emotion. Arrogance can buy brief laughter, but true talent and unwavering spirit will conquer the world. A beat of silence, then a call. Have you ever been judged just because of your skin or where you came from? Share your story and join us in spreading the power of justice. The lights fade, only the piano remains, echoing, aching, as if reminding us that talent and dignity should never be buried.